Okay, so I've removed all the bobbins, all the bits of hardware that was on the thing, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just slice this down. I'm going to just get rid of this part of it, you know, it's got full of holes, bit of it. Just start off with a relatively clean piece. So I'm going to cut in at 4.5 centimeters, just shy over the sides of these little holes in here. You can't see them from where you are, but never mind, you're not missing anything. Just trust me, they're there. And this is good, so this is going to be our straight edge. Now, because this was ex-kitchen furniture, just watch out, because there was little sticky pads for nice silent door shutting. So you don't want those, or you're just going to get a wibbly wobbly line. So just keep an eye out for things like that. You also get on the bottom sometimes there's little plastic feet, things like that. You just watch out for that sort of thing. So I'm just going to slice these down. I'm going to remove my microphone. A few scrap bits there. I'll just hang on to them. I won't get rid of them just yet. Might come in handy, but there is plenty of meat on this stuff. One thing to be aware of is this is kind of like split at the bottom. It's got wet on its bum, but that's okay. I'll just cut another 4.5 centimeters off that end at some point, so we get to the good bits. But that's all right. Yeah, we're going to clean up most of these edges anyway. So what I want, I know I've got that bit damaged there on that end, that bit of damage there. Let's just see how long that is. Oops. Let's tell you what, let's put my microphone back on. So we know we want 2 foot in between there and there. Why do we want 2 foot, class? Because we got 1 foot either side of the saw blade. Now then, before we do that, let's measure the table saw. Yeah, so it's about 11 inches that way, and well, it's actually longer this way. So we've got to be careful of that. Hold on, let me just remove that. So we're over 1 foot this way. So I'm going to need, let's measure the whole thing. Right, I want to go off 1 foot. I mean, the thing is, do I really want to do 1 foot long ones? And the actual fact, the thing is, it kind of doesn't really matter. I can build it to the size of the table as you can if you're using a small table, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep the top of the sled open so your block can slide out and past. So as long as it fits the table, we're fine. And this is 23 and 3 somethings of an inch. Okay. Now then, I also have to think about how it's going to attach to the axis. Maybe I'll build the supports first before I'm going to build the supports first. I'm going to work from the table down, make the bits to clamp on here, and then the side pieces, because we're going to have to make it long enough to fit the 2 upright. What am I going to call them? The 2 upright swingy bits that the thing's going to be fixing to be wanging backwards and forwards. So I'm going to clamp this. How big's a clamp? Right. Well, a clamp's around about, about 4 centimeters. If you're using a quick clamp, which I don't have anywhere nearby, so we'll make. We could do it 4.5. I've already set 4.5, haven't I? If I set it for 4.5 centimeters, that'll be wide enough to clamp underneath the table. Okay. Okay, 4.5. So I'm going to cut some bits up. I'm making it up as I go along. You do realise that there is a plan. Most of it's in here. Some of it's on a bit of paper, and some of it is just make it up as you go along. But you just got to try and think ahead. Think ahead. Right. Okay. I'm going to cut some bits up. So, trimmed some bits off, 5 centimeters wide, and I've used the old choppy saw to cut off some crappy bits. It's more or less the width of the table. I can always cut it down later. I can't glue bits back on, so I'm going to leave it like that at the minute. So now we have to do the bits. So imagine this is going to clamp to the table, and we're going to do a block down here, which is going to have the axis. Which is going to have the axis for the wobbly turny bit. There's got to be a better name for it than that. So let's have a look. See how much meat we got here. Yeah, tons. Now, if I come in with this piece of paper here, and I'll show you. So there's the sled. Okay, that's where the sled is. Now, for sake of continuity, if you want, I've got an 18mm gap, which is the thickness of one of these things in there. So the thickness of this board. So I can prop that up with a bit of 18mm bit while I'm bolting it all together, as opposed to trying to fiddle around. So that there, that's an air gap. This bit here is this, it's the side of this. So we're going to need board from the top of that line, because this is where we're going to screw in and glue in here and here. You'll see what I mean. I'm just trying to explain as I go along. And yeah, so around about there, we've got enough room to keep on going. How much do you want? 15, 16, 17 inch? Does anybody want a 17 inch fretboard? Right, anyway. I might as well just keep the whole length for now. It's no problem. So what I want to do now is cut a couple of pieces that are going to be screwed onto the side of here. Now I'm going to, for the sake of it, I suppose, I could taper it. I won't bother at the minute. I'll just cut them straight. I can always go in with a jigsaw afterwards. Once I've got the holes and everything, it doesn't really matter what the shape of this is. I can do a pretty pattern down the side of it if I wanted. But let's just cut them. Let's cut them neat and square. Same size. That'll probably make things a lot easier when it comes to marking things up. Okay. So, at a guess, and it is literally just a guess, I'm going to cut the pieces 10 inches. 10 inches. Okay, which is, well, should we do it in centimetres? I mean, the thing is, you know, I kind of like working centimetres, but everything, you know, working in fretboard radiuses is all in inches. So, do I stick to inches or just move over to centimetres? Doesn't really matter, as long as you know what you're doing. And as you know, I don't know what I'm doing. So what is it, 10 inches anyway? 10 inches is 25.4. 254. Of course it is. 1 inch is 2.54 centimetres, so 10 inches is 25.4. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Okay, so we want 25.4. Here we go. Just check that. Checky, checky, check. .4. Okay. More cutting. Okay, so this leaves us this lump. I'm not going to do that as wide because it only needs to be pretty much as wide as the cradle. Cradle? Are we calling it a cradle? Or are we calling it a sled? So this is a cradle, right? So it only needs to be as wide as the sled. It does need to be a bit longer because we're going past here, up here, and up here. So we probably lost those extra inches that we were so pleased to gain. And then I'll cut out that bit with a jigsaw, or maybe not. I'll cut it out with something else, but doesn't matter. So yeah, it needs to be that wide, which is, of course, it's 70. Of course, we can actually work this out because that's 70, that's 18, that's 18. 70 plus 36 is 106. Keeping up with me. So we want 106. Back to flipping centimetres again. Come on. Alright, 106. Starting to get dark out here. I was hoping to get glued up today. And when I say glued up, I just mean adhesive, adhering one thing to another. Here's what I do want. So I want a cup of coffee. So just for the sake of not knowing what I'm doing, I'm just taking these blocks, putting that up against there. Now, this isn't getting me a centre line. What it will do though is It will just give me something to eye up when I do put a centre line in there. Just to make sure that, you know, it actually looks like it's in the centre. You can do the same. Doesn't really matter if it's bigger, wider or smaller. You're just using the fact that you've cut some straight edges, and you've just got something to look at, give you an idea. Now, something to think about is when we're putting the holes in for the axis. Yeah, we want to be as accurate as possible, but it doesn't actually really matter if you're like half a millimetre, half a centimetre. Yeah, well, that'd be a big difference. But you know, half a millimetre off or something at either end, because in the middle, you know, that margin of error is just going to be reduced down to next to nothing. And there's probably going to be more margins of error just swinging the thing backwards and forwards. Anyway, time for a cup of coffee, I think.